Global Tech4ALL Summit. My name is Ivo van der Brandt. I am the Global Brand CSR Lead for Huawei CBG and the Program Lead for Tech4ALL Initiative Storyside. It's my honor to host this summit today. The theme of the summit is Powering Digital Inclusion with Technology. We have an exciting lineup of global thought leaders and experts from UN organizations, NGOs, governments, research institutes, and technology companies. You will hear an exciting mix of perspectives, insights, and case studies from around the world on how technology can drive more inclusive education and can help protect the planet. To start, first of all, it's my privilege to introduce our first speaker, Mr. Zhang Xinseng, President of Iucn. The Iucn is the International Union for the Conservation of Nature, and Mr. Zhang will share his perspective on why it's critical to create new opportunities to protect the world's nature ecosystem and how we can create a more sustainable future. Welcome, Mr. Zhang.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Welcome everyone. Thank you for your interest in Tech4ALL Summit. I'm Zhang Xinseng, President of the International Union for Conservation of Nature and Nature Resources, known as Iucn. Very grateful to Huawei to bring us here together to discuss these very important topics of our time. I'm glad to see Huawei and so many leaders here and partners here today from all over the world to share their views and their beautiful stories. Before I begin, I wish everyone safety and health in these challenging times. The global COVID-19 pandemic is a health crisis, but also environmental, social, and economic challenges to the sustainable development of this whole world. What we do need for successful action to tackle these challenges, this is something Iucn knows well, taking advantage of a global network of over 1,400 members and also over 15,000 experts and scientists worldwide. In the last more than 70 years, we have been working hard and trying to achieve our vision, that is a just world that values nature and nature resources. Ladies and gentlemen, our Earth, Mother Nature, is under great pressure. Our uncontrolled waste and consumption model, the rapid industrial development with its production model, and the thirst and hunger for nature resources and infrastructure has depleted our lands and water, degrade severely the ecosystem service of the Earth, that create for Mother Nature facing two major crises, the climate crisis and biodiversity crisis. We need technology, but I believe first I want to say that for this 21st century, there are two major fundamental relationships we human beings have to think and reflect and handle correctly. The first one is the relationship between man and nature, development, and also protection and conservation. And the second is that for this 21st century, especially in the first 50 years of this century, with explosion of technology. So what is the relationship between man, nature, and technology? Can we use that smartly and correctly? Yes, we need technology for sustainable development, there is no doubt, but also need nature and biodiversity for more fundamental needs for all the human beings in this world. The food we eat, the water we drink, the oxygen we breathe, and the beautiful scenery we enjoy. They all come from our Mother Nature. As you all know and agree, nature can still survive without us human beings. But we human beings, we can never survive without nature, even for just 1 minute. Can we find a balance and a harmony between humans and nature? Yes, we believe so, and technology have an important part of a solution. And can we help us solve global challenges if used correctly and smartly for those technologies? Ladies and gentlemen, Iucn shares Huawei's vision of technology for everyone, supports the mission of giving people access to networks and development opportunities that should be available to anyone in this world, regardless of their wealth or educational background, their gender or age or race or nationality. It is coincidence, but not a surprise that Iucn's Commission of Education and Communication operates a program called Nature for All, which includes a program on digital access to support wider environmental education worldwide. I believe access is a basic right we must all support. This is a fundamental for Huawei's vision, and this is also Iucn's vision. Our speakers today will provide a detailed and exciting example of action for climate and nature conservation. I'm looking forward to listening to this excellent sharing. I'm also looking forward to upcoming partnership between Iucn and Huawei and the theme of technology for nature, to demonstrate to the world how technology can support nature conservation at all the levels, on the ground, within conservation communities, and across the world. Once more, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are, thanks to all of you to bring together with us via networks that are supported by technology. And only supported by technology can we deepen our impact and speed up our responses to the world environmental crisis. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Zhang. Yes, innovative use of technology is key to responding to the environment crisis that we are facing. We now move on to Ms. Stefania Giannini, Unesco's Assistant Director General for Education. She is the top United Nations official in the field of education. Welcome, Ms. Giannini.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. It's really my great pleasure to be part of the Tech4ALL Summit during Huawei Connect, and thank you very much for this opportunity. You have made education one of the two focus areas of the summit, and this could not be more timely, as we come together at a time of huge disruption in education. Governments around the world have closed educational institutions for months, as we know, in an attempt to contain the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. By the end of April this year, these closures disrupted 90% of the world student population, which means 1.6 billion of students. Almost overnight, we could say, learning had to be delivered remotely, leveraging high-tech channels. Lack of connectivity and capacity have been major obstacles in this process. Almost 47% of all primary and secondary students have been targeted by national online learning platforms don't have access to the internet at all. And according to our Unesco data, it's a recent survey I'm mentioning, 60% of teachers declare not to have digital skills and be prepared to this jumping from the traditional classrooms to the virtual ones. So this mirrors the global digital gap. Half the world population is still without access to internet. Students from the unprivileged, more marginalized backgrounds are most heavily impacted, of course. I'm referring to girls, refugees, students with disabilities, those who are based in remote and rural areas, or students in conflict, in a situation of conflict and crisis situations. So from the outset at UNESCO, we sense the urgency. It is still an impression we clearly have today. And this is the urgency to help education authorities around the world to deliver continued education for all children. Somehow, continuity of learning is our claim so far. We mobilized and leveraged the expertise of an extremely wide range of education, development, and technology partners through the Global Education Coalition, an initiative that UNESCO launched on the 26th March this year. The coalition is supporting so far countries to scale up their best distance learning practices by providing technical assistance, by providing solutions, learning platforms, and all resources needed to ensure learning continuity. We are now just talking about a passing crisis. Governments are already planning the future along the lines of hybrid learning models, which is the model that this crisis somehow revealed as one of the way to go. This requires not only adequate, appropriate infrastructure, but it requires access to digitalized curricula. It requires digital skills training for teachers and students, and measures to protect privacy. UNESCO is partnering with Huawei to support the building of technology-enabled open school systems in Egypt, Ethiopia, and Ghana. This is not about adding on technology, but it's about embedding technology to make schools more inclusive, crisis resilient, and effective in supporting all learners, especially the most marginalized ones. We wanted these schools to serve as innovative digital learning hubs to underpin three key strategic objectives that will drive progress towards the global goal education adopted by the entire international community, SDG 4, inclusive quality education for all. These three objectives are the following. First, to promote digital inclusion. Second, to mainstream digital skills development, including in light of emergency technology and artificial intelligence as well. And third, to foster digital pedagogical transformation needed, very much needed to ensure quality of learning. Well, our activities will include building national platforms, enhancing connectivity, providing training, and deploying relevant applications. To project the project as potential to show the way to help governments rethink and rebuild digitally. And this is based on the idea that education systems must really become increasingly resilient and ready to go in any potential future crisis. I see really this partnership as step change in how we support education ministries, especially in the low-income countries, to cope with the significant impact that COVID-19 has already caused and produced. And it's about building more inclusive and resilient systems together. Partnership is the only way forward, and partnership together with international solidarity and the stronger role of multilateralism is a bit some of the positive lessons already learned in this unprecedented situation. Thank you very much for your support, and wishing all of you an excellent summit.
Thank you, Ms. Stefania Giannini. Our next speaker is Mr. Kevin Zhang, CMO of Huawei ICT Infrastructure. He will talk about Huawei's Tech4ALL initiative and share some excellent cases on how digital technology can enhance digital inclusion.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Tech4ALL Summit at Huawei Connect. The theme of Huawei Connect 2020 is New Value Together. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, many of our friends and partners cannot join us here in Shanghai. I hope that you and your families are safe and well. During this unique time, ICT has made communication easy. It also creates new ways and new value in the area of promoting digital inclusion. Last year, we launched our digital inclusion initiative, Tech4ALL. Today, I'd like to share with you about what we have achieved with our partners and how we plan to continue in the future. First, let me recap what Huawei's Tech4ALL is all about. Tech4ALL is driven by our vision and mission, which is to bring digital to every person, home, and organization for a fully connected, intelligent world. Aligned with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, Tech4ALL is our long-term digital inclusion initiative. It aims to ensure that everyone can benefit from digital technology and everyone has a place in the digital world. Last year, we unveiled our approaches to digital inclusion. As a technology company, we pledged to use technology, application, and skills to make progress in 4 domains: high-quality education, environmental protection, inclusive health, and balanced development. In education, ensuring universal basic education is the biggest global challenge, as well as children dropping out of school. Poor quality education in remote areas is a pressing problem that we must tackle. We want to help make high-quality education available everywhere to everyone. To do that, we are focusing on 2 areas. First, we aim to make education more efficient, easy to access, and more digital. Second, we want to enhance ICT in education to improve people's digital skills. Currently, we are running 4 programs for learning both in school and out of school. So what is Tech4ALL doing in the education domain? Let's take a look at our skills on various programs. One project we have been working with our partners is the DigiTrack. DigiTrack is a container-based mobile classroom equipped with laptops, VR headsets, and built-in Wi-Fi. Being fully solar-powered, it can drive to remote communities that do not have electricity. The course range from basic software skills and using the internet to starting an online business. In October 2019, we launched the DigiTrack project in Kenya. To today, more than 1,500 students and teachers in 6 counties have received over 25,000 hours of training. At the end of 2020, we launched another DigiTrack in France, where we expected to benefit 9,000 people in the first year. Much like education, environmental protection is a global issue that affects everyone. We believe that technology will be used to build a better planet. That means we should take less from nature and do more for nature. We position ICT as an enabler that can help more people protect the environment more easily. In the past year, we have launched 4 environmental programs with our partners. One of these projects is the Northeast China Tiger and Leopard National Park on the Russia-China border. Traditional animal protection is time-consuming and dangerous. Rangers have to go into the forest to collect data from camera traps, which could take several months. That meant the data was out of date. Today, technology has changed that. Real-time data, including HD video, can be transmitted back to the control center over a LTE network that covers the park. The control center, powered by AI, automatically analyzes and identifies animals, greatly improving scientists' working efficiency. In the future, we hope to help more scientists and rangers identify and analyze populations and habitats to better protect biodiversity and the ecosystem. One of the most important aspects of digital inclusion is partnerships. We hope that more people can join us in TECH4ALL. So far, we have been honored to work with many partners in promoting digital inclusions, including Unesco, Iucn, and NGOs like Rainforest Connection. We were confident that in the future, we will establish more and more partnerships. We are partnered with Unesco for an open school project. This project focuses on meeting education challenges and ensuring education continuity in Africa during and after the pandemic. It will be launched in Ethiopia, Egypt, and Kenya. In addition, we collaborate with Iucn on TECH4ALL Nature, which aims to use digital technology to improve the efficiency and the effectiveness moving forward. You may be asking how you can get involved, how we can work together in the future. We look forward to working with you in 3 ways. First, we can engage in your existing projects to help make a difference with our technologies. Second, you can join our existing TECH4ALL projects to generate great synergies and impact. Third, we can create coalitions and initiatives for digital inclusion. Through these partnerships, each of us can bring unique value to the table, and together we can accelerate achieving the United Nations SDGs. The TECH4ALL initiative has just started. We need to do more in the future. We welcome more partners and friends join us and work together to promote digital inclusion, to create new ways, new value, and leave no one behind. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Really great to see these TECH4ALL projects and to see how technology is helping to make the world a better, more inclusive place across education, the environment, and more. Our next speaker is Mr. Yutaka Matsuo, President of the Japan Deep Learning Association. Welcome, Mr. Matsuo.
Hello everyone, I am Matsuo from the University of Tokyo. Today, I'd like to talk about the deep learning projects in Japan and the activities of the Japan Deep Learning Association. I have been engaged in AI research, and I also take the positions as consultant, outside director, and etc. in enterprises. And I have also been taking part in government-organized activities. Here, I want to share several application scenarios in Japan in which deep learning technology was adopted to promote human-nature coexistence. The first scenario is agricultural robots. Automatic picking has been achieved by combining hardware and deep learning. The agricultural sector, though important, is now facing severe shortage of labor. In rural Japan, the population aging has generated a great need for automation. In this case, automatic picking is achieved through related technologies. The second application scenario is also agriculture. In the agriculture sector, to get rid of pests, crops usually need to be sprayed with pesticides. To reduce pesticide use, in this case, pesticides were sprayed only where they are needed. This technology can reduce pesticide use by 90%, and I think it will be a very important technology for organic farming in the future. The third scenario. We just talked about the importance of eradicating pests and finding crop diseases in agriculture. Next, we are going to introduce the related detection technology. The conventional deep learning technology can also support detection, but it is hard to know the reasons of detection results. Now, research is carried out to explain the detection results with AI. This technology can clearly show which parts of the leaf is abnormal and diseased. And in this way, the reasons of detection results are clearly transmitted to users. The next case is about fisheries. Fishing is not just from the sea. Fish farming is also very important. In fish farming, we do not know exactly the number of fish and how much food the fish eat. Currently, the fish farming industry relies on the experience and the feeling of skilled personnel. But in this case, deep learning is used to identify fish and hence to realize precise management. As fish farming will become the priority of the fishing industry in the future, I think this research is very important. The last case is water quality management. For example, a factory discharges wastewater into a river, which must first be treated to become clean water. But is the water really clean after treatment? If sewage is allowed to flow into the river due to exceptions, it will have an adverse effect. Therefore, it is very important to detect exceptions. However, among exception detections, water detection is pretty special. So we have developed deep learning technology specifically for water. This technology correctly detects 99.9% of the exceptions. So far, I have introduced 5 application scenarios and cases of deep learning in Japan. Some of them are technologies from big companies and some are from startups, but they are all about agriculture and fisheries, sectors that are related to human-nature coexistence. There is also a case about water resources, which will become increasingly important in the future. So water purification is also a significant technology. These technologies will be widely used in the future to protect the environment on Earth. In addition to this, Japan is suffering from climate change and increased natural disasters. For example, super strong typhoons are now hitting Japan for years in a row, and we need to prevent and detect these natural disasters early so as to reduce and control the impact. Therefore, technologies related to this field will become more important in the future. And I think AI and deep learning technologies will have great roles to play in this field. Next, I want to introduce the Japan Deep Learning Association that we have participated in. The Japan Deep Learning Association is a non-profit organization that promotes application of deep learning in the industry and fosters talent to facilitate wider application of deep learning technologies in society. Founded in 2017, the association is only 3 years old, but is already joined by a lot of professionals. For example, Professor Ogata at the Waseda University, Professor Kitano at Sony Computer Science Laboratories, Dr. Nakashima, president of Sapporo City University, and etc., are all key figures in the AI field in Japan, and these key figures have joined our organization. In addition, the association has core members, many of which are startups engaged primarily in deep learning business. We are honored to receive sponsorships from many companies, many of which are well-known companies in Japan, including Huawei. Huawei is our highest-level platinum sponsor and has provided strong support for our activities. It is a great honor for me to be invited to this event today. Making deep learning and AI technologies inclusive will become increasingly important in the future. At the same time, talent development in this field is also crucial. To sum up, it is very important to build sound ecological environment in Japan and around the world, enrich people's lives, and promote industrial development. To that end, we will do our utmost, starting with Japan. It is a great honor to have this opportunity to share with you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Matsuo. Now, I propose we move on to our next session on driving inclusive education with technology. Dr. Miao Feng Chung from Unesco will be the moderator for this session. Therefore, I would like to hand over to Dr. Miao.
Dear participants, welcome to Huawei Connect 2020, the first session on driving inclusive education with technology. This session is dedicated to a general question about how can government, private companies, and NGO to ensure innovative digital solution will serve the common good for all with a priority to the most vulnerable group during and post-pandemic. And with this question, we have the honor to have 3 panelists on board. The first one I would like to introduce is Mrs. Nadia Ahmed Abdullah. She is the Chief Administrative Secretary in the Ministry of ICT, Innovation and Youth Affairs of Kenya government. And our second panelist, second speaker, will be Mr. François Duholi. He is the CEO of the Simplum, a company based in France, I believe. We have the third speaker, who is from, I believe, from London, the UK, Mrs. Chelsea Chung. She's the co-founder of MOTech. And you can see that we have a perfect gender balance, 2 men and 2 women in this panel. And they are from multiple and diverse backgrounds. So we have the honor to welcome all the speakers on board. So with this, I would like to kick off this session with an introductory presentation. So I want to make a presentation about a project we are launching in the partnership with Huawei. First of all, I want to say that the COVID-19 crisis tested the readiness of the education system in supporting distance learning. And according to our observation from Unesco, about almost 200 member states, we think that all the countries should put in place the technology readiness in supporting distance learning program. Secondly, to put the content readiness in place. And thirdly, we should have the pedagogical support from home, from parents, and also from teachers. And probably most important thing is how to monitor the long-term distance learning processes to ensure that the students are not dropping out from the distance learning program, and the students are undertaking a high quality learning process and to achieve the minimum standard of the learning outcome. But the reality is that the COVID-19 crisis really exposed the fragility of the learning system around the world, and it's widening the digital divide, not only from the countries, from the government delivery perspective, but also from the users' perspective, from the parents, from the students who are staying at home. They are not ready in terms of the access to devices and also to the connectivity. We have a statistic showing that in the most low-income countries, the access to video ranged from 5% to 20%, which means in the poorest country, no less than 20% of the family have a radio. And no need to mention that in many of these families, there are more than one kids to share one radio. So basically, the access to devices and the connectivity at home is not ready. At the same time, we all know that teachers and the parents are not ready to support the home-based learning overnight. That is implemented overnight almost. So, and we also analyze across the world, there are different categories of distance learning scenarios. You know, in general, we know that there are online distance learning, there are TV-based distance learning, radio-based distance learning, and also some countries are using print material-based distance learning, either to supplement the other formats of online and distance learning, but at the same time, in some of the countries, print material are the only one choice to support home-based learning. And at the same time, based on this observation, we want to highlight that, you know, the COVID-19 disruption is something that already happened yesterday and today. So in the sense that we understand COVID-19 education disruption is already reinvented schools, reinvented our understanding about the schools. And we know that school will not be replaced in the short term, but their rules have been redefined by the COVID-19. It's not something in the future, it's something already happened. Secondly, from these lessons, we can learn from the COVID-19 education response. It shows that, you know, connecting schools is not enough. In the history, we are focusing on the connectivity of schools, but now we know that connected school is only a necessary, but not a sufficient condition, especially when schools are forced to close. And the third point of lessons we should learn is that education cannot wait, especially education under the crisis cannot wait until high technology comes. It means that all the countries need to, you know, assemble any kind of technology available to leverage the potential of technology, you know, to enable an open form of school system and to ensure the learning continuity and the quality and the crisis. And we all know that technology can bridge the physical space and the social distance. So, which means the technology has the potential to build the post-pandemic crisis resilient school system. So that's why from Unesco, we have been developing a guiding framework for technology-enabled open school system. We also observe that, you know, during the COVID-19, physical school campus are closed, and the classroom at home open. It's more like a switch on and a switch off model. You know, during the crisis, physical school switch off, and then we switch on the class at home. So in the future, after the pandemic, we need to think of interswitchable school system, meaning that when the schools remain normal, we need to use the school to deliver school education. And then for this purpose, we are developing this technology-enabled open school system to ensure that the school education system, especially the formal school education programs, will not be disrupted. And the students' right to education will not be disrupted whenever another pandemic or crisis comes. So that's, for this purpose, we are trying to support member states to build technology infrastructure, content infrastructure, and human infrastructure. The human infrastructure including teachers, but also other human facilitators. And for the same purpose, we are finalizing the first draft of this guiding framework for technology-enabled open school system. We are planning 3 layers of enabling elements. Those are the policy and resource enabler. This is the first layer. The second one is the technology, content, and human infrastructure. This is the third layer. And this is the second layer. The third layer is the teaching, learning, and assessment activities we would like to support through this system. And each of the layer, we have some key elements to support the government's actions and program. And we also have another dimension, is the 3 developmental levels, meaning that in the beginning level, in the basic level, we want to mobilize any kind of technology to support the interconnected access to school program. With this, we are launching a cooperation with Huawei with a new project. We have selected 3 countries as the first group of beneficiary country, namely Ethiopia, Ghana, and Egypt. This is a 3-year project. Huawei and Unesco will provide financial and technical support, but at the same time, Huawei has agreed to provide in-kind contribution to the connectivity in the country, to support the country to build what we said, the 3 perspective of infrastructure: the technology infrastructure, content, and the human infrastructure. So that's all I want to introduce, and to echo what Kevin and the UNESCO ADG said in the opening, about UNESCO and Huawei's partnership. I have the honor to invite the first speaker, Nadia Ahmed Abdullah, to give her speech. You have the floor, Nadia.
Thank you very much. Should I say good afternoon, good evening? So to the executive representative of Iucn, the executive representative of Unesco, CMO of Huawei ICT infrastructure, to the guest panelists, the distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. My name is Nadia Ahmed Abdullah. I am the Chief Administrative Secretary in the Ministry of ICT, Innovation and Youth Affairs in the Government of Kenya. Just something that I always like highlighting is I'm the youngest in the country because I'm 29 years old. Something very important. And so technology, it plays a very important role in education, as we all know, and it's a powerful tool for transforming learning. It can help in reinventing our different approaches to learning. It can reduce long-standing equity and accessibility gaps to adapt to learning experiences that meet the needs of all the learners. And one of the most important aspects of technology in education is its ability to level the field of opportunity for every young person. And technology that focuses on inclusive education provides an equal opportunity for learning and should be included in strategies for national development. So technology, it presents both challenges as well as opportunities for inclusive education. Education transcends the traditional classroom model, but the conditions and increasing the scale of digital and remote environments, they pose a challenge that demands significant adaptation, preparation, support, and engagement. As you know, 50% of the world's population still doesn't have internet access, and they have limited opportunities and the lack of skills that are needed to use digital devices. And as a result, the digital divide in education continues to widen, further resulting in exclusion, especially for the most vulnerable young people. The challenge of limited access to ICT constrains youth from exploiting education opportunities that are available. And as an overall principle, inclusive education should guide all education policies and practices, starting from the fact that education is a basic human right. Inclusion of the processes should be particularly targeted to the disadvantaged and marginalized, providing technology accessibility for all learners, especially for those who are in special needs critical in bringing equity to the learning institutions. As governments, learning institutions, and education stakeholders, we should commit to working together to use technology to improve education by developing learning resources that embody the flexibility and power of technology. As we know, the future belongs to learners, and we are on a critical learning journey, and we must literally learn our way into the betterment of the future in technology. The COVID-19 pandemic has rapidly rewritten our realities, demanding that we quickly adapt to the fast-growing changes to ensure learning continuity, especially for the most marginalized students. We need to come together and explore every avenue to keep young people learning and help them through this difficult time. And we know we need to step our efforts to tackle the challenges impacting education, especially during COVID-19, such as expansion of learning platforms such as digital remote learning programs to help young people who have been affected by the COVID-19 at home and through the education. Just as the pandemic impacts, it has no borders. It's a solution that we must have borders with, and it requires collaboration across both the public, the private sector to ensure that students and young persons stay engaged and continue learning. As COVID-19 Agenda for Action prioritizes the internet connectivity, especially in rural and remote areas, it is crucial to keep our young people learning. Connection fuels this learning, but inclusion should also be a precondition that ensures learning takes us in the right direction. As you know, now more than ever, being digitally connected is vital to our life itself. And those without a security and reliable digital connection are at an acceptable widening disadvantage. We need connectivity, which provides continuity and virtual access to both virtually. The role of the government of Kenya in inclusive education includes the process of strengthening the capacity of education system in order to reach out to all learners. Our strategy is to build capacity in tech, innovation, and utilize of knowledge to transform the economy of our country. We have developed a number of frameworks to drive this development, such as the Digital Economy Blueprint for Africa, the National Broadband Strategy, the National ICT Master Plan, and the ICT Strategic Plan, aimed at transforming the use of ICT to spur inclusive economic growth in the country. The blueprint sets out clear outcomes, identifies opportunities and areas that need further focus, while outlining correspondent plans of the action for the government, private sector, and our citizens. The government of Kenya endures to see young Kenyans achieve their potential and contribute to the development of our nation, and support to harness and utilize technology delivery in the education of young people. We develop and implement initiatives that utilize both formal and non-formal education channels and enhance youth education progress and attain by providing technological integrated education. Will have access to quality education and training in technologies in all levels. The government of Kenya is committed to expanding young people's opportunities through digital skills and training opportunities to fully integrate into the country's technological transformation. It focuses on the area of facilitating provision of internet connectivity in schools and digital training skills, which are the key ways to improve equitable and quality education. As the ministry charged with the National Youth Mandate, education is one of our priority policy areas for youth development. We seek to empower young people and harness their potential for the realization of sustainable development by building a quality and competent youth workforce, development of technological talent, creativity, and innovation. Our government has embarked on a number of scalable programs to ensure inclusive education with technologies such as the launch of the balloon-powered internet service, DigiSchool, a digital literacy program, and Ajira Digital. We are cognizant that we have achieved, however meaningful, and is still not enough. Therefore, we endeavor to aim higher. We plan to roll out more initiatives uniquely positioned as scalable learning solutions to bridge the digital learning gap for the young people countrywide by facilitating online learning and bringing their classrooms into their homes during this COVID pandemic crisis. The change in demographics of the world is experiencing a couple of fast-moving technological advancements, presenting a critical moment in history. The world is home to the largest generation of young people ever, global population, but they account for 100% of the future in technology. If we act wisely and urgently, we can create a skilled cohort of young people who are prepared for sustainable, innovative, and technological and peace-forward thinking. When we invest in young people's education, our potential for progress as a nation is unlimited. Without urgent technological investment in education, the rapidly growing global population of adolescents and young people, which will reach 2 billion by 2030, will continue to be unprepared and unskilled for the future workforce. So as a country, we applaud those who are increasing their efforts to provide technology in transforming ways for learning. We are eager to take a step forward in understanding and sharing how we can further use technology to ensure inclusivity in education through this summit. And we look forward for insightful discussion that will provide a clearer understanding of innovative ideas and actionable recommendations to implement technology that will advance effectively use of technology to support the inclusive learning and teaching in the digital economy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nadia, for excellent speech. And Kenya has been, taped as a digital innovation hub in Africa. Has been very famous for a lot of innovative programs. I'm very delighted to know that as a Ministry of ICT, you are also taking a lot of program in educating the digital skills, developing digital literacy for youth and for the larger population. So it's a very good commitment from the ministry. And we also know very well that you have a famous project with Google about the balloon, model to the internet connectivity. Thank you for your, very insightful presentation. And also we agree that it's very important to educate the next generation, the youth. With this, I will have the honor to introduce the next speaker, Mr. François Duhollet, who will speak some digital skill development program from his organization. François, you have the floor.
So my name is François Duhollet. I'm currently Simplon CEO, and I started this job 5 years ago. Simplon is a social purpose company. Set it up in France 7 years ago, and our job is to train people to be competent and to be professional in the digital sector, because there's a huge needs of jobs in this sector, and at the same time a lot of people unemployed or underrepresented in the digital sector. Our company has been able to train more than 10,000 people so far, mainly in France, but also in other countries in Europe, in Belgium, Spain, and Switzerland, but also in Africa, India, and Morocco. We are a social company, meaning that our main purpose is to reach some social impact indicators. So I could give you two examples. The first one is women, because women are underrepresented in the digital sector, and it's a huge concern. Our aim, our objective is to reach a target of 50% of women in our training programs, and we have been able to to reach the percentage of 35% last year. And you have to know that only 20% of women are present in the digital sector in France and in Europe and in the USA as well. The other example is refugees. We have been able to launch a program for refugees 3 years ago in France during I would say the bulk of the refugees crisis in Europe, and we have as objective to reach 10% of refugees in all our training programs in France, and we are close to reach this objective. Regarding this question of digital gap and digital skills, it's a huge concern for Simplon, and our first purpose is to train people for these jobs, but also to provide, I would say, everybody in France with a sort of digital skills base, because everybody needs these skills for their day-to-day life and not only for employment purpose. What we think at Simplon is that digital is a sort of pharmakeon. It's a platoon term, meaning that digital is in the same time a sort of a composite of two meanings. It's a remedy, but it's also a poison. So digital could be very dangerous for the society, but digital could be also a sort of remedy and could help people to gain autonomy, to find a job, to be a citizen, to be able to be mobilized for social purpose or social causes in their community. So it's a huge concern. And as far as Simplon is concerned, we are part of a big program currently launched by the French government, and one of these programs is accompanied by Huawei, and it is to be able to train, I would say, more than 50,000 people, which themselves will be able to train, I would say, everybody, seniors people, young people, unemployed people, salaries, employees in company, in order to give for everybody a sort of minimum corner competencies in terms of digital. What some others examples about or facts about Simplon. We are a sort of a network of social inclusive boot camps, so based in a lot of countries, as I told you before, and our motto is in code we trust. So we are really convinced that digital skills could be a good remedy for a lot of people, even if in some cases it could be a poison, as I told you before. So what we want to do is really to develop this huge network of inclusive digital boot camps everywhere in the world.
Thank you very much, Francois, for the presentation. And we learned a lot from what you have done in closing the digital skills gap. So we will ask you more questions in the later stage. Now I will have the pleasure to introduce our third speaker in the panel, Mrs. Chelsea Chung, to me, who is very brief to have kind of entrepreneur business and to enter a brand new area. I believe it's in the area of artificial intelligence technology, and particularly for some disadvantaged groups. So let's welcome Chelsea. Chelsea, you have the floor.
Okay, Thanks for everyone. Thanks for having me. Especially Nadia, what your presentation is very impressive. And I wish the coming project I will introduce we can also bring some new power, some AI power to your projects as well. Same with Dr. Miao. So I'm Chelsea Chen, a Chinese now living in London. I'm the co-founder of a London startup called Emotech. The specialty of Emotech, as our name, emotion technology, we try to bring emotion, more human approach to the technology, make the technology to be more like a friend, more like a partner, but not just a code technology. So the specialty of our technology is we call multi-modality AI. So it's the upgraded AI technological solution. It combines speech and language, computer vision, and spatial AI all together. So today, my short introduction is more about how AI will empower the future of education. In my understanding, AI will not replace any real human teachers, but become a very reliable and helpful assistant for the teachers. So what is education to me? I think education is a relationship between educator and also learners. It's not just about children. It's not just something happened in the campus. It's beyond that. In your lifetime, you always will learn something and you will teach something to somebody else. So that is a long-term process. And how we can bring AI to this long-time project, lifetime project. AI, when we talk about AI, most of the people, the top mind is, oh, it's a robot, or it's something about computer science, it's algorithm. But actually, AI, it's a very broad concept. It combines computer vision for sure, computer science, and also anthropology, language, psychology, many diverse relevant knowledge all together. So before I give you more broad or even broad concept, maybe we can go into a video. We recently collaborate with Huawei, the first AI teaching assistant. Show the video.
Emotech is launching the world's first multimodal AI teaching assistant solution, bringing English lessons into a new era. Our solution has audio-visual technologies which can overcome the low recognition rate in noisy environments, thus highly improving the accuracy and stability of the evaluation results for every student. It overcomes challenges that audio-only systems have, providing consistent and reliable assessment results. The video content generation has text-to-video technology that can easily convert any written language into animations of virtual teachers.
Traveling by ferry. Thank you.
The audio-visual guidance from the virtual teacher allows students to locate their errors and highlight their improvement suggestions, building natural communication. We believe our multimodal approaches will assist teachers, students, educational companies and institutions more efficiently, and we hope our solutions can bring improvements to the quality of teaching, promoting equal access to education.
Okay, as you can see, we try to bring a very new technology into the education, especially in the English education. We generate a special multimodal assessment process. So this AI teaching assistant can not only help the real teachers to teach in the class, but can also provide more accurate assertion. And also of the clients, the student don't need to use the teacher's time, but can practice more with this AI solution. So based on that, I try to conclude 5 important things, how AI or why AI is important for the future education. So the first thing is about understand. As you know, when teacher needs to teach something, the teacher needs to know the level of the students. What AI can do is AI have more sensor, has more is more accurate, and even have more data to do the comparison. So the AI can maybe it's better than the real human teacher to understand the student's level. At the same time, just Dr. Miu mentioned, because of the COVID-19, the education suddenly cannot happen in the classroom, but have to be like a home class or some other situation. So one student wants to know, how is my level when I cannot find any teacher around? So the AI can provide the better assessment by real time. There is no time difference. There is no teacher will have excuse, just the time, just use this application to understand my level. And also the second thing is about efficiency. In China, for example, every classroom probably have 40 to 60 students. In London, probably 20 to 30. I'm not really know the situation in Africa, but I assume there will not be very small group. But there is only one teacher in the classroom. How the teacher can take care of each student? One teacher asks a question. When students want to answer the question, how teacher can know each one's answer? At this time, the AI, through computer vision, through microphonery, and also the algorithm, the teacher can get the feedback equally when each student try to answer the question together. In the online courses, you probably will face a few hundred different students altogether. So how, if without AI, how the teacher can cover every student? And also the third thing is about equality. Unfortunately, in the human world, there are still different bias all around, but the algorithm is fair. It will not tell anyone from your skin colors, your gender, which country you come from, but generally give very accurate accessories. At the same time, you know, especially in the home class, sometimes we have to be in a quiet room, but not every country, not every family has that condition. The parents may need to have a business call around or something like that. But AI, with our multi-modality solution, we not just record everything through the audio, we also track people's lip movements, then to provide the environmental isolation, noise isolation to get the best result. And also the fourth thing is about education personalization. We talk about personalized education thousands of times, but in world of AI, these things can be really disrupted. This time, not the courses can be based on students' level, but also students can also even choose your favorite animation teacher. You may prefer a male teacher, you may prefer a female younger teacher, or even animation character teacher to teach you English. So this time, based on our technology, we call TTV. The teachers, the real human teachers, only need to provide the text, and the algorithm will generate accurate different animation to provide the accurate English teaching. And also the last thing is about effectiveness. Learning, the most important result is about effectiveness. Whether the accuracy is increased, whether your freshness is increased, all these things based on the learning with AI before the class, during the class, and after the class. The students has more opportunity to practice and also will be more confident to face the algorithm, face the animation more than the real human to improve the English. That's the fifth benefit of this AI English teaching assistant. So in the end, I would like to borrow the sentence I really love from Huawei, is leaving no one behind. I think the beauty of AI for the education is we try to use the advanced technology to help everyone in the world and leaving no one behind. That's my sharing. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Chelsea, for a very exciting speech. And I'm grateful that in the beginning I said that, I asked a question, how can we all together ensure the digital innovation can serve the common good for all? And your speech is one of the best elaboration on the details of the common good. You explain how AI can be leveraged to really serve the human's purpose and for the public good. I think, we all believe that AI is a kind of neutral technology. Whether we can use it for public good or whether it will generate some ethical risk, it really depends on the purpose human are using them. So you explain how we should use them properly. And it's also completely in line with Unesco's humanistic approach to the use of artificial intelligence. The humanistic approach meaning that we should put the use of artificial intelligence in the service of human. And human should control the design, deployment, and application of AI. And AI should be used to empower humans' capacity, meaning that we should develop a kind of human-machine collaborative, intelligence. I think your explanation of what you are doing and what you are understanding is exactly supporting Unesco's humanistic approach to artificial intelligence. And I think I really enjoy the conversation and the speech of this panel, as we could understand, after we experience 4, 5, or even 6 months of COVID-19, more than ever, do we know that we need the solidarity and not the solo activity, and more than ever, we need a kind of open-minded thinking, and we need the openness, including the open source technology, rather than the close-minded approach to the technology use, rather than the banning solution to the technology use. So with this, I would like to conclude this session, and thank you again for your contribution to the speakers, and thank to the participants for your attention. Thank you very much.
Thanks everyone for an insightful panel discussion, and thank you, Dr. Miao, for leading it. It's clear the global pandemic has changed the face and the future of education, and many learnings and insights have come from it. One of the key insights I keep coming back to, reinforced by webinars, events, and discussions like these, is that together we can achieve more. And when it comes to education, together we can make it more inclusive and more accessible to everyone. Next is our session on Tech for a Better Planet, an equally as exciting as important topic in today's climate. Mr. James Hardcastle from Iucn will be the moderator for this session. Welcome, James. Over to you.
Welcome, everybody. I'm delighted to have the opportunity to introduce the Tech for a Better Planet. My name is James Hardcastle, and I work with the International Union for the Conservation of Nature, Iucn. And I'm delighted today that we have a panel who are going to give you some exciting case studies about how we can, and indeed we must, use technology to help secure a better planet. Today, after I give a brief introduction, our first guest will be Professor Limin Fang. And Professor Limin Fang is the head of monitoring and research with the National Forest and Grassland Administration Amur Tiger and Amur Leopard Research Center. Professor Fang is going to show us exactly how and why technology offers a solution for tigers and leopards in northeastern China. After Professor Fang, we will have the opportunity to listen to Chrissy Durkin. And Chrissy is the Director of International Expansion with the Rainforest Connection. And Rainforest Connection is offering some exciting new innovative uses of technology that are really helping us understand how we can better protect forests and other ecosystems. Along with Chrissy, we will have Emer Kivni. And Emer is an ambassador for the oceans. She is showing us how to use technology to really advance ocean conservation and how we can rise to meet the challenges that are affecting the blue part of our planet. So, from my part, on behalf of IUCN, I'd like to thank Huawei for the opportunity now, just to give you a very brief introduction to technology and how it can help secure a better planet. Now, I'm sure I don't need to tell you, but I think we have to tell you again that our planet is in peril. The drivers of change, the pressures and the threats that are facing species, wildlife, and the ecosystems, the very ecosystems that underpin our existence, are under threat at an increasing rate. Recent studies from IUCN and our members, such as WWF and the Zoological Society of London, in their Living Planet Index, have really highlighted that the rate of loss of ecosystem services, ecosystem function, biodiversity, and species is increasing. Every year it's increasing. And we really do need to find solutions. And it is imperative that we use the technology that's available to us to try to reverse these negative trends and actually try and find solutions. And the solutions are there. We do have, through conservation action, more than 100 species which have avoided extinction, which are actually even recovering. And Professor Li Mingfang will tell us about how tigers are actually making a recovery now. This means engaging with people. Nature conservation is not about wildlife. Nature conservation is about people. It is our planet, and it's the decisions that we make and how we empower people, such as women, girls, rural communities, local communities. These are the solutions are in our hands and in their hands. And it's up to us to try and make the connection between ecosystems, nature, and achieving the Sustainable Development Goals and achieving a better planet. So how can technology, how can we really find ways for technology to provide solutions for a better planet? And I think there's three principles that IUCN are really keen to bring to the table and to work with tech companies such as Huawei, work with our members, work with our partners. And these principles are really about using the right technology. Technology has to be appropriate for nature conservation. Technologies, we must demonstrate how they can help improve nature conservation in a fair and effective way. Secondly, these technologies must be accessible. These technologies cannot be something for the elite or for the rich or those who have the power to use them. Technology must be technology for all. It must be a solution for everybody to better engage in conservation action, and especially women and especially local communities in the places we most need to protect. And thirdly, the use of technology, we have to be accountable. Technology can help us really generate large data, big data. We can process huge amounts of results and information, but we need to use this for good decision making. There is no point having lots of data if we aren't able to make appropriate decisions and to share the decision making with those who are impacted by those decisions, and to make sure that technology helps us be accountable and helps us continue to maintain standards for good conservation. So appropriate, accessible, and accountable. These are the three principles that are really important for technology to provide a solution for a better planet. At IUCN, one of our flagship programs is called the IUCN Green List. And this is a certification scheme to recognize successful area-based conservation. That means successful and effective nature reserves, national parks, local community conserved areas, and so on. And we do this by applying a standard. And that standard describes fair and effective conservation, and it encourages all nature conservation actors to use the standard to improve and to work towards achieving the recognition for being successful. And success does not just look at species and wildlife and biodiversity. Success is about the role of people and about how ecosystems and wildlife can benefit communities. And a good example here on the right, you can see Olpejeta. It's a conservancy in Kenya. And today is World Rhino Day. So this is one of the flagship sites for conserving rhino species in Africa. But also it is an outstanding example of using the conservation action to benefit local communities. And in this conservancy, the rangers, the protection is not just for the rhinos and the wildlife, it's also for local cattle. They work with local pastoralists to move their cattle around in a sustainable way. And the rangers actually help provide protection from the predators so that lions, rhinos, and cattle and farmers can all live in harmony. So this is an example of what we're looking at when we say successful area-based conservation. And so this brings me to just, what can you do? If you are at home, if you work for a tech company, if you work for a business, if you work for a development organization, yes, you can really help on this. And I'd like to you to think about how tech can be better applied for a better planet. I'd like you to think how technology can be used appropriately, and especially to help children, women, and people living in and around wild places. And the picture on the right, this is another example from our Green List program. This is children using technology to monitor a reef that they manage through their school. So it's a school education institution that manages a marine protected area. These children and the teachers, they are there all the time. They are learning about the environment, they're connecting it, and they have a responsibility. And this is using data, using information, using technology, and being innovative to protect nature and trusting the youth with the future for the next generations. So we need to also promote technology to connect urban people and business to nature conservation efforts. Not all of us can go to school next to a reef. Not all of us live near a forest, but we all need, spiritually, culturally, economically, and for our very survival, we need these places to be intact and be providing for all of us. So please look, wherever you are, there is a nature area, there's a wild place near you. Go and find it, look for it, enjoy it, and try and support it. And please also listen to the following case studies and be inspired from the messages that Fang, Chrissy, and Ima are now going to communicate to you. So thank you, and now I'll hand over to Professor Fang.
Hi, thanks, James. Thanks, James. Now, I'd like to show the case study that how to use the science and technology to save the big cat, tiger, emerald tiger, emerald leopard in China. We know one of the biggest challenges in the world is the loss of the biodiversity. As a recent study, more than 77% of the large carnivore population continue to decline around the world. It really reflects the ecosystem, especially the terrestrial ecosystem degradation rapidly around the world. The tiger, it is an important cultural symbol in China. Every Chinese knows the story of the warrior named Wusong in the ancient time fight with the tiger. Only in the past decades, unfortunately, the big cat lost their 95% habitat and population around the world, including in China. As a recent Iucn assessment, total of the wild tiger in the world is less than 5,000. The other big cat, leopard, also meet the same situation. Now, China wants to recover the natural ecosystem. How to recover the big cat in China with the most possibility? We look at the Northeast China, because in this region, in the history time, in the every time is record in the every mountain in this region, they have tiger and leopard. Currently, in this region, they still have the vast forest for the tiger recovery potentially. So our team, under the support by the local government and forest department, we spent more than 10 years to survive in this region. In the border area between China and Russia, we found a small population of tiger and leopard survive. This gave the hope our teams convincing the central government of China to set up a huge national park with the total area about 15,000 square kilometers. This very, very massive landscape for recovery the tiger. How to stop the human activity, human disturbance, how to stop the poaching, how to manage the huge landscape, and I think all of this is a question. But luckily, now in current times, technology and science develop quickly. For example, in the city, we can use many devices, the advanced device, to get many information. And but in the forest, in the remote area, difficult to get information in the forest. If we can get the information in the forest, even the real time, the information, we can make very quick decision to manage the national park. So now in the next step, after the Chinese government set up the national park, we will think about how to manage the national park. We cooperate with many technology companies, such as Huawei company. We want to develop a new innovative system to monitor the whole ecosystem, including tiger, leopard, and wildlife, human activity. So, we build up this system combined with various technology of ICT, such as integrated 4G and 5G technology, internet technology, automatic monitoring and real-time transmission device and sensor. We also combine satellite images, drone, artificial intelligence. We use cloud computing, big data analysis to support the monitoring and management. In this system, also we build the high-speed way. We call high-speed way of the information transmission. We use the special signal source network to carry the whole landscape of national park. The signal network can large-scale carrying and with high-speed transmission, and also with very good local survival. Now we build a high-speed way for the information transmission, and now we develop the innovation real-time transmission device for natural resource. We cooperate with many technology companies. We developed the automatic monitoring sensor to record climate, human activity. Even we can monitor the fire, control the fire. Every day, we can get the big data, thousands of video or images from this device or sensor. And we also develop the multifunction real-time communication TECH device. And the ranger will use the device into the forest. The headquarters know where it is the range. If the range found something from the accident, they can report immediately to the headquarters. And also we use AI. We use AI-based information monitoring system to deal with the big data. We use AI to identify the species, even the individual automatically. And then the manager can quickly make the decision to manage the real situation. Every day, thousands of information, such as the video or image of tiger, leopard, the other many animals, and including human and habitat elements, transfer to the headquarters with real time. So we need to use the AI technology to identify the information, to identify the species. For example, we can identify the tiger and leopard, even the individual. Also, we can get the big data to analyze the real-time situation of the animal distribution and the human activity. For example, we can see this map. We can see this model in this system. This model shows the distribution of the human distribution in every month. In the spring, if very few people into the forest, but in the spring and in the summer, more and more people into the forest to collect the forest product. And also we use the thousands information to analyze the dynamic of tiger population to know the relationship between tiger and the prey. In the left side is the tiger distribution in the last year. And the dark red color region is the high density of the tiger. In the right side is the CDR, the memory of tiger, CDR, the distribution. Also, the dark red color is the high density region of CDR. We can see where's the CDR, then where is the tiger. So that means we need protect, we need recovery the CDR population first, then we can recover the tiger. And this system can give us the real-time information, also can give the long-term data analysis result, and give the manager a very clear result to make the decision. Our system now combine different technology together to build up the innovation system to get the real-time information about the environmental elements, including biodiversity, including habitat information and human activity. Now that means this is totally new times for nature conservation. We can use the big data, we can use the new technology, and we use interdisciplinary knowledge to protect our natural reserve. So now we know we into the human and pork, so we need the solution. Chinese government give a solution. Now Chinese government build the ecological civilization. We will set up the beautiful China. We set up the national park system. We want to use the technology and science to save our ecosystem. This is the story about China use that technology to save tiger, leopard, and their habitat. That's our story. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Feng. That's extremely interesting, and I will come back to you with a question about the future and about the impact you'd like to see. The next speaker in our webinar is Chrissy Durkin, and Chrissy is going to talk to us about Rainforest Connection and their work, and in particular with a focus on encouraging more participatory and more inclusive conservation. So please, Chrissy, over to you.
Thanks, James. Hi, I'm Chrissy Durkin, the Director of International Expansion at Rainforest Connection. Over the past few years, we've created a partnership with Huawei TECH4ALL to develop an acoustic monitoring network to protect and understand threatened ecosystems around the world, contributing to the UN Sustainable Development Goals of empowering communities, rapid climate change action, and forest conservation. Rainforest Connection is a nonprofit tech startup at the forefront of conservation technology. We use real-time acoustic monitoring hardware and an AI-enabled platform to listen remotely and transform audio streams into an automatic understanding of the soundscape. The acoustic data from the rainforest is extremely rich in information. Just in this clip, there's a hornbill, cicadas in the background, and gibbons calling to each other. But what you can't tell is that this whole time, the sound of a chainsaw has been happening in the background, but it's very hard to detect with just our ears alone. If you listen closely, you can hear it now. The only way to detect the threat is to tune everything else out. That's why we created a system that can automatically accomplish this goal. You might be wondering why this is needed. As James mentioned, the world's remaining intact ecosystems and the species that inhabit them are disappearing at an alarming rate. Let's just look at tropical forests, Earth's most biodiverse regions. Tropical forests are being destroyed at a rate of at least 31,000 square miles every year, releasing the carbon they store into the atmosphere. Virtually all deforestation is driven by human activity, and 50 to 90% of deforestation is caused by illegal logging. 1 million plant and animal species are threatened with extinction. This loss of species causes ecosystems to begin to break down, destroying the foundation of our economies, livelihoods, food security, health, and quality of life. Threats have increased this year with the impact of COVID-19, putting additional pressure on local communities and ecosystems. In recent years, there weren't effective real-time solutions for threat detection. Satellite imagery is quite delayed, and it's impossible for rangers patrolling on foot to monitor these vast reserves. But with the right mixture of existing components, there's a lot we can do. We have people on the ground who want to protect their homes. Connectivity is available in many of these threatened regions, and we have technology that can help. So this is how our system works. Someone is logging the forest illegally, and an alert is sent directly to the rangers via the cloud, and then the rangers can intervene in real time. This is what the ranger sees and hears. An alert is sent to an app on their phone, and they're able to listen and confirm the sound of a chainsaw. And then they can choose how to respond. We can also send alerts for sounds like vehicles, gunshots, hounds, and human voices, making it possible to protect against everything from illegal logging to poaching to mining. These are the devices we use. We call them guardians and install them in the tree canopy, where they record the soundscape 24 hours a day, all year long. They're essentially mini computers with a microphone and an antenna powered by solar panels. This is the newest iteration. It's being released this month. And this is how the data is analyzed. The Rainforest Connection platform runs on the power of the Huawei cloud. Audio is streamed in real time from Guardians and uploaded to Huawei OBS. Machine learning models created on Huawei Model Arts for legal activity and species detections run in real time over uploaded data and generate alerts and detections that are sent to rangers and scientists. Just one Guardian can protect 3 square kilometers, which is equivalent to 15,000 tons of CO2 sequestered or 3,000 cars taken off the road for a year. After we developed systems to detect illegal activities, we realized the data is extremely useful to scientists, and the tools we had already created could be applied and adapted for biodiversity monitoring, empowering scientists to study all ecosystem types, both terrestrial and marine. Our goal with Huawei is to create the world's largest ongoing collaborative species accounting project that can aggregate acoustic data and enable deep learning models to ingest, analyze, and interpret audio data at scale to support research and conservation. As you can see here, we can use AI to pick out the calls of the species that make up the entire soundscape, including birds, frogs, insects, and mammals. This is an example of a marine project in which we are monitoring orcas. Once the acoustic data makes it into the Rainforest Connection platform, we can automatically identify species. We were able to use AI to detect a pod of southern resident killer whales, of which there are only 73 individuals left in the world. Rainforest Connection and Huawei have teamed up to expand this technology around the world, both for threat detection and biodiversity monitoring. Let's take a look at one of our projects that was started this year in Palawan, Philippines. In the Philippines, Huawei and Rainforest Connection are working together to prevent illegal logging and poaching in the 5 protected areas in Palawan, described as the country's last ecological frontier. The Department of Environment and Natural Resources has noted that this technology has already had a positive impact on the country's forest cover, supporting law enforcement and complementing existing monitoring systems. Take a look at the following video overviewing the project.
White from Rainforest Connection. We're about 30 meters up in a tree on the island of Palawan here in the Philippines. We're installing these Rainforest Connection Guardians, these listening devices up in these treetops where they can't be seen, but they can hear everything in the forest all the time.
Palawan, we're saying that this is the last frontier in terms of forest resources. 70% of the land area of Palawan is covered with forest. And one of the threats really is still not only natural causes but also human factors. These are the illegal encroachment, illegal cutting, illegal logging.
We take old Huawei phones and put them in here. They listen to all the sounds. They stream that up to the cloud, the Huawei cloud. We're able to use AI to pick out the sounds of chainsaws, logging trucks, gunshots, motorcycles, anything that indicates a threat. And then we can send a live real-time alert to local partners here, partners that Huawei and Smart have built. Smart, the telecom system here in the Philippines, built a great partnership with DENR. So they can actually respond to these chainsaw alerts in real time and stop them.
Ito na rin ang magre-report sa amin kung
These projects is a need for the people of El Nido. El Nido is tourism destination. Kaya malaking tulong ang device na ito na ilalagay dito.
Proteksyon po natin yung ating kagubatan para marami pa mga tourists na darating dito at makita nila na napakaganda ng Palawan.
When you hear of Palawan, pupunta ka dito because of the destination, and one of the reason is the good environment. Pag hindi natin inagaan yung ating environment, lahat tayo magsasuffer.
If you want to learn more about the Palawan project, it was featured in the GSMA 2020 Digital Dividends Report. Now let's go to Ireland. Another project Huawei and Rainforest Connection are working on this year is with ORC to monitor marine mammals. I'll turn it over to Emer to tell you more about it.
Thank you, Chrissy. We are both humbled and thrilled to have the opportunity to speak today at Huawei's Tech4ALL Summit 2020. Under Huawei's Tech4ALL programme, and in partnership with Rainforest Connection, Ocean Research and Conservation Ireland are launching a new automated cetacean acoustics project, ASAP. This project will involve real-time acoustic monitoring and automated classifications of cetacean vocalizations using convolutional neural networks and machine learning. To give background and context, ASAP will be based off the southwest coast of Ireland. As Ireland's marine environment is one of the largest in the European Union, its cool temperate, highly productive waters make it one of the most biologically diverse hotspots for marine species on the planet, which include hundreds of species of invertebrates, 71 species of sharks, skates, and rays, and it also provides habitat for 2 breeding colonies of seals, the harbour seal and the grey seal, and some of the largest breeding populations of seabirds in Western Europe. Irish waters also represent important foraging, resting, and reproductive habitat for 25 resident and migratory species of cetaceans. And these are protected under the EU Habitats Directive. Cetaceans are classified as a whale, dolphin, or porpoise depending on their teeth, or lack thereof. Some baleen whales, for example, such as humpback whales, do not have teeth, and instead have keratinized bristles that hang from their upper jaw and allow them to filter feed small schooling fish and zooplankton. In comparison, dolphins do have teeth, but these can vary in size, shape, and number, depending on the species. Globally, there are 90 different species of cetaceans, and in fact, 28% of cetacean species described worldwide have been recorded in Ireland. The southwest coast of Ireland is a cetacean hotspot, with migratory baleen whales such as the humpback whale using the productive waters as a high-latitude foraging habitat on their long migrations to and from breeding grounds close to the equator. Other baleen whale species such as the fin and minke whale are sighted seasonally in inshore waters, and toothed whales such as short-beaked common dolphin and harbour porpoise are also frequently sighted. Cetaceans depend on sound for their survival. Cetaceans use sound for navigation, communication, and producing and finding prey. Dolphins produce squeaks, barks, whistles, burst pulse calls, and produce broadband echolocation clicks, using specialized nasal sacs near the blowhole that allow them to produce these sounds that are focused then by the melon. These sounds are sent out and echoed back from an object and travel through fatty tissues along the cetacean's jaw. Baleen whales, on the other hand, more similarly to humans, produce vocalizations only in the larynx. Sound is vital to these animals, and even more so, it has become a part of culture and social structures. We know now that dolphins have signature whistles, similar to humans, having a name and that they can recognize each other with. And we also know that killer whales and sperm whales can pass down dialects from generation to generation and therefore have language. Here we have the sound of a humpback whale feeding call. A minke whale. And a common dolphin. With Huawei's help, we can use novel technologies that work in tandem with nature, and strides can be made in enhancing our understanding of how to better protect our ocean's wildlife from the impacts of noise pollution. Many sources of anthropogenic noise are being introduced to Ireland's marine habitat on a daily basis. A recent study that looked at noise pollution of the marine environment around Ireland and the UK highlighted the southwest coast as a dense area for maritime traffic. Marine traffic has been increasing along the south coast of Ireland in recent years, with more container ships and an increase in pleasure boats and speed crafts. Noise pollution from marine traffic can cause cetaceans to move out of important foraging and reproductive habitats, and ship noise has been shown to be associated with chronic stress in whales. It can also mask their communication or even damage their hearing permanently or temporarily. It is important for us to respect these animals and to not disturb their natural behaviours that are essential for their survival. If we can alert mariners to the presence of cetaceans, we can reduce the risk of ship strike of these protected species, which can lead to disturbance from important habitats through an increase in ambient noise, or even death and injury. And bioacoustics is the solution. Bioacoustics is an evolving discipline that has benefited through the onset of modern technology and innovation to allow us to peer inside the secret world of whales in real time, and to help us gain a better understanding of the species' presence, distribution, and behaviour of some of the most elusive animals on the planet, found right on our doorstep in the waters off West Cork. We aim to automate the classification of species identification and call types, and to relay that information to interested stakeholders and policy decision makers, and to gain a better understanding of the soundscape of the southwest coast. This is the first time in Ireland researchers have attempted to record cetacean vocalizations in real time, particularly baleen whales, and using the help of machine learning to enhance data analysis and to relay information to marine traffic to directly impact the welfare and conservation of these animals. Huawei's Tech4ALL is not just a sponsor to ORC Ireland's ASAP project, providing the technologies and resources to process and analyse the recorded acoustic data via the Huawei cloud. It is also taking a partnership approach and will be deeply involved in the study for the long term. Ocean Research and Conservation Ireland is a for-impact voluntary organisation that relies heavily on third-party and private assistance. So we are absolutely delighted to be involved in Huawei's Tech4ALL programme. Now I'd like to just share a little video.
Back in 1991, Ireland was declared a sanctuary for whales and dolphins. Every year since then, it seems to have increased the numbers of whales.
But at the same time, more than 90% of Ireland's international trade travels by sea, which has led to an increase in the ambient noise pollution levels. So we really need to understand the effect that we're having on these animals' important habitats. It's a really exciting time for researchers, especially marine biologists. Not only are we now able to see from the air, but we can also listen in real time. And this is an exciting project, particularly for Ireland, as it's never been done before.
We are an island nation, and to have all of this on our doorstep, we really should do everything we can to preserve it. And if technology can play a part, Huawei is more than happy to get involved.
We're only just beginning to understand what is happening outside here in our oceans.
We're really lucky to be involved in Huawei's Tech4ALL programme, and we're really looking forward to beginning the project.
Thanks, Emer, for all the work you and ORC are doing. In addition to Ireland and the Philippines, Huawei Tech4ALL and Rainforest Connection are expanding acoustic monitoring coverage across several other countries in 2020, with new projects in Greece, Malaysia, Indonesia, Chile, and China. These implementations will range from halting illegal logging in Malaysia to monitoring the fauna in Indonesia, to protecting threatened species from being poached in Greece and Chile. Rainforest Connection's partnership with Huawei has been absolutely critical, both in terms of tech development and in spreading it to the most impacted regions and communities around the world. Thus far, Rainforest Connection has gathered acoustic data from 38 countries across 6 continents, with real-time monitoring stations established in 14 countries. Huawei has played a large role in this expansion. Rainforest Connection expects to continue to scale rapidly over the next year, protecting 6,000 square kilometers of forests, collecting 450 years of audio data, contributing to 30 million tons of CO2 sequestered and analyzing 3,000 species. Thanks for learning a little bit about Rainforest Connection. To everyone listening, if you have any ideas, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Thanks to all our speakers. And I'd now like to just explore a couple of themes from your presentations and from the information you've provided. And I'd like to start with you, Professor Feng. And I'd really like to understand and like you to share with all the participants today and all the audience, what are the next steps for your work in China? And what are the impacts that you'd expect to see in the near term in this area for Amur leopards and Amur tigers?
Thanks, James. In the last years, we successfully developed the system to realize the real-time monitoring to the ecosystem. And in next year, our system, we want to expand to the whole national park. We will finish the system, cover the whole area in this year, even in this year. Also, you know, China is so huge, and China will build the national park system. Most of the national park in the remote area. In this area, they haven't the good signal resource. That means it's very difficult to find the connection to the ecosystem. So in next step, we will, under the guide of the government, we will copy our system into the other national park. Could be in most of the national park and the nature reserve around China. If in the world, in the other country want to use the technology, we're also happy to share our experience to help build up and recover our ecosystem. This is our plan. Thanks, James.
Thank you very much, Professor Feng. And yeah, good, interesting response. And we wish you from Iucn all the very best of luck. And of course, you are a member of Iucn Species Survival Commission. And so thanks on our behalf for all the efforts that you are doing. My next question would just be to Chrissy. And I really appreciated the very tangible live examples that you presented. And this is really what we want to see more of at Iucn is these real case studies and to shine the light on solutions and innovations that are really working. The question I would have to you is really about what would be your recommendations to really use tech, use things like Rainforest Connection and work you're doing to help enable more of a role for women and more of a role for girls in nature conservation action.
Sure. I mean, I would want to inspire all genders to be involved in nature conservation. It's important we all have a hand in sustaining our planet. To the women out there who want to get into conservation, let's continue to break outdated traditions and barriers. I don't think I even need to say this, but women are just as capable as men, both physically and mentally, to execute this work. We can hike the most difficult terrains and climb the tallest trees. At Rainforest Connection, we have just as many women and men as men in all areas of the organization. The tech team, science team, business development team, and field deployment teams are all full of women. All these areas of expertise are necessary for nature conservation. Fieldwork is also not reserved to a particular gender. Women are leading field deployments in projects around the world. I encourage all women that want to go into nature conservation to be out there in the field and connect with nature and the local people working day and night to conserve their land. I mean, my favorite quote is from a female environmentalist. Rachel Carson said back in 1964 that man's attitude toward nature is critically important today because we have now acquired a fateful power to alter and destroy nature. But man is a part of nature, and his war against nature is inevitably a war against himself. And like I said before, if anyone wants to get involved in our work, feel free to shoot us an email.
Thanks very much, Chrissy. Great answer. And I'd just like to iterate as well from Iucn with our certification program for protected areas. One of the core criteria is to show evidence that there is some progress in terms of gender equity. And exactly as you say, there are no barriers at all, except the ones that we decide to put up. So thanks very much for that answer. And I hope people will find that inspiring. I'd like to just pass the opportunity to Emer. So Emer, Based on your experiences and building on your presentation, what, according to you, is the biggest single challenge that we're facing in terms of protecting the ocean and ocean conservation? And how is the work of ORC really contributing to overcome these challenges and to help take us to a better place with a more sustainable ocean for a better planet?
That's an absolutely great question, and marine ecosystems are exactly that. They're highly complex. Ecosystems are made up of a food web of a number of different organisms that play vital roles in the functioning of marine ecosystems. And cetaceans, whales, dolphins, and porpoises happen to be top predators, which means that they're ecosystem indicators of ocean health. So they actually help control the food web. So we can see if there's something amiss with these animals, that there's something amiss with our marine environment. So one of the biggest challenges of actually monitoring and studying these animals is that they're highly mobile. So humpback whales, for example, are migratory, and they actually only visit our waters seasonally between April and November. So in between that, they're migrating to high latitude foraging grounds like Iceland and Norway, or heading south towards the equator to the waters off West Africa and perhaps the Caribbean. So the biggest challenge is that they're highly mobile and they can travel up to 6,000 kilometers per year on these migrations. So I think really just looking at our options for solutions and equipment that we can use that will be able to not only transfer data in real time on a continuous basis, but will actually be able to pick up on humpback whales in particular. So I think that's going to be a bit of a challenge, but we're excited to address these challenges.
Thank you very much, Emma. Very inspiring, and all of us need to keep in mind that our planet is actually blue, and that the green bits that we're living on is just a smaller part of it. Fragile as it is, and every time we need to be thinking of the oceans, we need to be thinking of marine areas, and really bringing all our energies and attention to addressing these challenges that you've just raised. Well, that brings us to the end of our session. I'm really grateful to Professor Fang, to Chrissy and Emma, and to Huawei Connect for giving us this opportunity to talk. And as all of our speakers have mentioned, please get in touch. Please join us. Please be part of this. Don't just go away back to what you're doing. Really take time to look on the internet, look up what we're doing, and get in touch and get involved. And really, we need new ideas. We need innovations. We need to think outside of the box. And for us in the nature conservation world, for us in all our members at Iucn, all the organizations here represented, we need new ideas. We need new solutions, and we need to have your support to make sure that technology can actually live up to the expectations of providing solutions. And a key point that Chrissy made, aside from the real importance of having a full gender equity in our nature conservation work, but the key point she made is about scaling up. And we have these solutions, and you've heard about them from China, from Philippines, Costa Rica. I presented areas in Kenya and in the South Pacific. This is great, but we need to scale these up to a magnitude, and the only way we can really do that is through technology. Technology will give us the opportunity to scale up, to amplify the knowledge we currently have, to learn more, and to really reach out to millions of people to get involved. And it will take millions to act positively, to contribute, to turn around this decline.
Thanks, everyone. That was really interesting and valuable. And let's all continue to work together and drive the innovative use of technology to improve conservation efforts, better understand the delicate balance of the world we live in, and minimize our negative impact on the environment. That brings us to the end of today's summit. I really enjoyed it today, and I'd like to express my sincerest gratitude to all you speakers for your time and for sharing your expertise and experience. Thank you all for tuning in and listening, and I'd like to extend an especially warm thank you to everyone part of the Tech4ALL Summit. We will continue to work together to bring the benefits of ICT technology to everyone. We hope more of you and more organizations will join us. With the joint efforts of all stakeholders, we are committed to promote digital inclusion for everyone and to build a fully connected, intelligent world where no one is left behind. If you'd like to find out more, we also have an online Tech4ALL exhibition and website. Please feel free to simply scan the QR code to discover more about Tech4ALL and the amazing initiative part of it. Hope to see you again soon. Thank you and goodbye.